yo, that's so good. I'll be the first one to do it. Woo! Okay, run up. I'm gonna come up salty, man, like a chip.
I was pushing him, so he finally took the challenge. Very
the
good.
hot dip challenge, y'all.
Very good. It's like a cup of hot chocolate in the morning time, but it's not what it's doing.
This is milk chocolate, bro. Milk chocolate. Yo, Eugene, get in here, man.
I got no shot, bro.
Chicken.
What's up, good people? I hope you're doing fine wherever you are today. So there is a special message, there is a good message that I wished I could call everyone in my village, I could call everyone in this city, I could call everyone in this country just to watch this video, because I, Dr. Umar Johnson, he eated the Red Bull's high. He eated it directly, because this is what we need to know. Over time, this is something that we have been always saying, but still our African leaders are letting us down. Now, let me introduce Dr. Umar Johnson, probably for those who might hear him for the first time. For my fellow African Americans or Black Americans, probably I know you know him. Dr. Umar Johnson is a clinical psychologist, as an activist, and an author also. He has been featured in one of the most literary works. He has done a great things, you know, in general. So in this video, he was really pissed off and he told the truth. And this is what people need to hear at this time. That's why I feel like I could call everyone in my village, put them down and tell them, listen to what this guy is saying, because this message is important for everyone. I'm sorry, guys. I want to tell you this. It is time for us, people of the Black descent, to unite. Of recent, we have seen the capabilities that Black people can do across the continent. And I'm happy that Africa is waking up. But it's not enough, because we need to disseminate this information to people so that they can get to know things which are happening in the continent. So walk with me in this journey. I want us to watch this video, and guys, please allow me. I'll be interrupting in the middle, doing a commentary in the middle, and then we will continue with the video as we hear what Dr. Umar Johnson says. I hope that this message finds you well wherever you are. You can always consider sharing this video to people who may need to know this. Let your kids hear the message, the speech of Dr. Umar Johnson, because this is really important for the Black community. This is really important for the youths. It saddens me that most of us don't want to engage in political things. They don't know that how the political system affects the economical system, affects the social system. That's why it's important for you and I to watch this video and learn something from it. So let's dive into this video. As I've said, I'll be interrupting a little bit, but allow me to do so because of the YouTube policies to interrupt in the middle, and then we'll just be fine. You can consider subscribing to the channel while watching it, if you don't mind. Just a request, you know. So let's dive into the video.
Don't you start taking money from other groups. The more money you take, the more indebted to them you are. Why you think Africa's still in the position she in with all the aid Africa gets? People say Africans must not know how to solve their problems because America been pumping money. France been pumping money. The UK been pumping money. Belgium been pumping money. The UN been pumping money. The World Bank been pumping money. The International Monetary Fund been pumping money. Why Africa still messed up with all the resources she got? You know why? Because whenever they give Africa a loan, whenever they give a Caribbean island a loan, whenever they give a Central or South American African country a loan, they put 3 requirements with that loan. Requirement number 1, 1,000% interest or more. You need $5 million. You want to build schools in Rwanda. She wants $5 million. She's the president of Rwanda. And guess what America says? I'm going to give you $5 million. But I'm going to charge you 1,000% on every dollar. How long would it take Rwanda to pay back that loan? You'll be paying it back for the next 100 years. This is how they keep Africa in debt, by exploiting them with the interest rates. Number two, 2 minutes. Number two, they'll tell Africa, you have to have a free market economy. I need y'all to understand this. This is real important. I'm going to be quiet because I know we got a break and then we got the Q&A. Y'all be able to ask me anything you want. Second thing they do is they demand that African countries participate in the free market economy. You know what that means? You're the president of Senegal. In Senegal, y'all have your own salt. You don't need Morton salt. You don't need Whole Food salt. You don't want nobody selling salt in Senegal because Senegal got your own salt. You the president of Ghana. Y'all got palm oil. You don't need Crisco oil. You don't need canola oil. Y'all got your own oil. But guess what America going to tell you? Guess what France going to tell you? Guess what Belgium going to tell you? They're going to say, we know you got your own salt, but because I gave you $5 million to build some schools, you have to let all the American salt companies come into your country and compete with your homegrown salt company. So let me ask you all a question. If she has her own salt, but she can't protect her salt market, America says as a consequence of the loan, you got to let all America's salt companies come into your country. What do you think happens to your salt industry within 5 years? Sabotaged and shut down. You got your own palm oil. What happens to your homegrown palm oil industry after 5 years when you got to compete with all the American, British, French, or Italian oil companies? You be sabotaged and shut down. This is why African countries, Caribbean countries, Central and South American countries are importing food that they grow themselves. Why are you importing tea if you grow tea? Why are you importing chicken if you can raise your own chicken? Why are you importing things that you can make yourself? Because the European countries of the world sabotage Africa's growth. I'm not against religion, but your religion must be an instrument of liberation or it is a waste of time. I was raised Muslim and Christian, so I know all about the church. I know all about the masjid. And if I'm going to be plainly honest with you, there's no religion on the face of the earth that serves African liberation. And you cannot be a Pan-Africanist if you still got that white Jesus hanging up in your house, in your dorm room, in your car, or in your Bible. Because before we can liberate ourselves politically, before we can liberate ourselves economically, before we can liberate ourselves socially, before we can liberate ourselves culturally, we have to liberate ourselves psychologically. I want you to hear me well, Puerto Rican Africans. I want you to hear me well, American Africans. I want you to hear me well, all my Latino Africans, my continental Africans, my American Africans. There is no liberation for our race that does not begin with psychological liberation until you change the way that you think about yourself, your people, and your future. Until you change the way that you think about who we are, and what we must become, you change nothing else about us. Reparations is a hot topic right now, ain't it? Everybody's talking about reparations, this like it's some new thing. Reparations grew out of the Pan-Africanist movement. It was Pan-Africanism that gave birth to reparations, not YouTube or the YouTube opportunists. It was Pan-Africanists who gave birth to reparations. But guess what? The US government can give us $1 trillion. The French government can give us $1 trillion. The Italian government, the German government, the Belgian government, they can give us $1 trillion. But guess what? Without psychological liberation, I don't care how much money you get from the outside, until you change the dynamic in the inside, nothing else will change. That's why the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, who gave us the red, black, and green flag in the largest black movement in modern history, Mr. Garvey said, don't take the kinks out of your hair, black sister, take the kinks out of your mind. I'm gonna get to the weaves and perms later. Because we cannot expect little black girls to grow up with pride. We cannot expect little black girls to grow up with self-respect while adult black women imitate Caucasians. Now, some of you have naturally curly hair. No problem with that. Some of you have naturally straight hair. No problem with that. We got African brothers and sisters in New Guinea, Papua New Guinea, in the South Pacific. They're naturally blonde, and they have naturally blue eyes. Some of our Puerto Rican African brothers and sisters got green and blue, and our Cuban brothers and sisters and Dominican brothers and sisters got green and blue. I got nieces and nephews who got green and blue eyes.
How many times have we said, Africa, to wake up? How many times have we called out our leaders, telling them that they're letting African down? How many times have we talked to the black folks, to the black male folks, to stop dating other races, at least support a black woman? How many times have we told Afro-Latinos to stop discriminating black people? How many times have we told fellow Africans to support African businesses? How many times have we told people from the black community to stop fighting against each other? How many times have we told people from the black community to know that it is the happiness of the enemy when they see us fighting? Now, it is time for us to rise. It is time for the black person to rise. It is written on the wall, and it is clear that this is the time of revelation. That's why people are coming out just to say the truth. And the truth will set us free. And that is what Dr. Umar Johnson is doing. We need to stand together as Africans. You are a Latino. You are an Hispanic person. Please stop seeing an African. Please stop seeing a Black American. Please stop seeing Caribbean. Please stop seeing anybody from Jamaica or Trinidad and Tobago or in the Caribbean island as a person who is lower than you. We are one people, and it is time for us to stand together against all odds, because it is it is to the gain of the enemy when they see us so disorganized. A family that is disorganized is a family that it can be easily attacked. It is easy to divide us because we have some microaggressions between us, ourselves, we black people. Dr. Umar Johnson says the truth, and it is time that you open your ears, you as a black person, and hear what he says, because I believe that these messages are really, really important for us, for you and me, for our development. So let's continue watching the video.
So that's not the issue. If that's your natural color, so be it. But for those of you who have the original ancient skin color and the original ancient hair color and the original ancient hair texture and the original ancient phenotype of our great-grand ancestors on the Nile Valley of Africa, why would you dare snuff that out? Why would you dare kill the greatness in your DNA? One of the greatest victories of white supremacy is that it made black people want to imitate their oppressor. And most of us now still want to imitate our oppressor. And every last one of you in here right now, I don't care if you speak English, Spanish, Portuguese. I don't care if you speak Wolof or Swahili. Every last one of you, after you graduate from Pace University, after you get your bachelor's and your master's and your doctorate, you are either going to be a benefit to African people or a detriment to African people. You will either be a plus for your people or you will be a minus. You will either be a freedom fighter for African people or you will be a part of the coonocracy. Some of you can't wait to join the coonocracy. Some of you go to sleep dreaming of being a coon. You can't wait for the white power structure to draft you and offer you a job to sell out your people. You got coons all over the world. You got Ghanaian coons, you got New York City coons, you got Puerto Rican coons. You got all kind of African people selling out their people around the world. Number one, all African people are one family. All African people are one family. Whether you are in Puerto Rico speaking Spanish, whether you are in Senegal speaking Wolof, whether you in South Africa speaking Zulu, whether you are in Kenya speaking Maasai, whether you are in Brazil, the largest African community outside of the continent is Brazil. They speak Portuguese. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you got the straight hair or the curly hair or the nappy hair. Whether you got the blue, black, purple, beautiful skin of our ancient grand ancestors, or whether you have light skin, whether you are Muslim or Christian, whether you pledge allegiance to this flag or that flag, we are one African people. We are one African family. We are one African race. Now here's the kicker for Pan-Africanists. We identify as being African before anything else. Nothing supersedes your Africanity. You're never a Christian who happens to be an African. You're an African who happens to be a Christian. You're never a Muslim who happens to be an African. You're an African who happens to be a Muslim. You're never a Puerto Rican who happens to have some African DNA. You're an African who happens to be a Puerto Rican. Why? Africa existed before Jesus existed. Africa existed before Muhammad existed. Africa existed before the Dominican Republic existed. Africa existed before any country you pledge your loyalty to, any religion you belong to, any language you speak. Africa is older than that. Your race is the only thing you belong to that God chose for you. Everything else you belong to, you chose or your parents chose. You Christian, you love your religion, nothing wrong with that. But you could leave the church tomorrow. You Muslim, you love your religion, nothing wrong with that. You could leave the mosque tomorrow. Your fraternities, your sororities, you can leave them tomorrow. Your professional affiliations, you can leave them tomorrow. Your nationality, you can denounce it tomorrow. Your language, you can change it tomorrow. What is the one thing you belong to, chosen by God, fixed at birth, that you have no control over, and that is your Africanity. And that's why we identify as African family first. I'm giving you this because too many people walking around call themselves Pan-Africanists who really are not. If you don't put the race first, you are not a Pan-Africanist. Pan-Africanism means all of us are one. So that means if you like to practice petty tribalism, if you like to put the American African above the Caribbean African, if you think you better because you're from America and somebody else is from Australia, that's not Pan-Africanism. You think you better because you light skin and somebody dark, that's not Pan-Africanism. You think you better because you belong to this religion and they belong to that religion, or your hair is straight and their hair is curly. Any tribalism in your blood prevents you from being a Pan-Africanist. That's a hypocrite. When I go to Africa, the first thing I tell my brothers and sisters, when I'm in Nigeria, I say, listen, I know we got issues here. There was a civil war between the Igbo and the Yoruba. I understand that. But when Dr. Umar is in Lagos, when Dr. Umar is in Port Harcourt, when Dr. Umar is in Enugu State, when I'm in Ogun State, we are all African people here. I don't care which family you come from. When I'm in the Caribbean islands, and I get the petty conflicts in there, I don't care if you Bahamas or Bermuda, while I'm here, we African. I don't care if you Jamaican or Haitian, while I'm here, we African. I don't care if you Dominican, Cuban, or Puerto Rican, while I'm here, we are African. And guess what? There was no benefit to slavery, but I will tell you this. Given that we are the diasporan African...
Sorry again for interrupting. They say that the only asset that a black person has, it is the unity. Time has proven this. I mean, try look at what happened in Nigeria recently. Try look at what happened in Kenya recently. The question is, the Chinese people, they decided to call an African a bad name, referring to him as a monkey or something. Just 1 week ago, they are shutting Nigerians not to get into the supermarket because it is only a white place. 1 month ago, 2 months ago, there is this restaurant that was only white restaurant. And we Africans, we are at the periphery just looking at these things happening. Now, who is to blame? The person to blame is our African leaders. But remember, we have the rights, we have the civic rights of choosing a good leader. We have the civic rights of choosing a leader who will transform our lives. We have the right of choosing a leader who understands the pain of Africans. Not leaders who will lie on your face and then do crazy things I'm sorry to say this. Our president is a sellout. Yep. Our president is a sellout. Look at what Bill Gates wants to do to young children and other people. We're not agreeing with that because we chose them to lead us in that way. And most of these things are being influenced by our leaders. Now listen. Today, there's a new policy that wants to be introduced in Kenya. Let's say they'll give you they'll give our president some money, and then after giving them some money, it's somehow like a debt. And you know what? They'll come and tell them, brother, I know you can't pay this. Your country is now flooding. You need to fix them. You have a lot of challenges. You know, you need to dig a lot of wells. Now use that money instead of returning to me. But I want you to do me one thing. Let's introduce this to your country, and then we won't charge you the debt. Because of what? Because of greed, because of desperation that our leaders has.
Which means we're mixed with the blood of every African nation on the continent. When we go back to Africa, we are the peacekeepers. See, when I sit at the table in Africa, they don't have to worry about whether I'm going to take the side of the Wolof or the side of the Mandingo. When I'm in the Caribbean islands, they don't have to worry about, is he going to side with the Puerto Ricans or the Dominicans? I'm mixed with everything. And as a result of that, I am impartial. They can trust me to facilitate that session. There's a benefit to being Pan-African. So number one, we identify as African. And let me say this. We are not racist. I want white people to get all the blessings God has in store for them. I want red people to get all the blessings God got in store for them. I want yellow people to get all the blessings God got in store for them. I want non-African brown people to get all the blessings God has in store for them. We are not interested in oppressing nobody, but we claim the continent of Africa for ourselves. And nobody in Africa who is not an African can be called so. If you are in Africa and you are not an African, you are either an invader, a colonizer, or the descendant of one. No Chinese can call himself African. No Arab can call himself African. No East Indian can call himself African. Why? Because Africa is the land of black African people. I can't go to China and call myself Chinese. So why can he come in Africa and call himself an African? I can't go to East India and call myself an Indian. So why can they come to Africa and call themselves Africans? And let us be clear. The only reason why the other human races want to come into Africa and claim that they're African too is so they receive no opposition as they go about the continent pillaging resources and stealing the mineral wealth of Mother Africa. Let us be very clear about that. I've been to China. China is very racist against African people. Very racist against African people. But yet they'll come into Africa and say, I'm an African. No, you're not. You are an opportunist. You have to learn how to think deeply and politically, because to be a Pan-Africanist, you have to be what? A statesman, a stateswoman for the African race. Yes, you should be involved in the politics of New York if you're a New Yorker. Yes, you should be involved in the politics of Texas if you are a Texan. Yes, you should be involved in the politics of California if you're a Californian. Yes, you should be involved in the politics of Puerto Rico if you're a Puerto Rican. Yes, you should be involved in the politics of Haiti if you're a Haitian. But on top of your national loyalty must be your racial consciousness. See, let me explain something to y'all. White people don't all get along. I know this because I work with them. Some Jews think they better than Italians. Some Italians think they better than the Irish. Some Irish think they better than the Greeks. Some Greeks think they're better than the Anglo-Saxons. But when it comes to doing what? Making sure white folks control the economics of the planet, they stop fighting long enough to keep raping Africa, and then they go back to fighting after they take care of the business of the white race. Pakistanis don't always get along with the Indians. They got issues, but when it comes to the best interests of the Indian people, they work it out. Iraqis don't necessarily like the Kuwaitis. The Kuwaitis don't necessarily like the Iranians. But guess what? When it comes to the best interests of the Arab people, they stop the petty beef until they take care of the business of the race. Chinese don't necessarily like Japanese, and Japanese don't necessarily like Cambodians, and Cambodians don't necessarily get along with the Vietnamese. But when it comes to the best interests of Asian people, they stop the fighting long enough to take care of the business of the Asian race. There's only one race on the planet who can't stop fighting long enough to get their act together, and that's us, African people. The most honorable Marcus Garvey said we were cursed with petty differences. If black people don't have a reason to fight, we'll make one up. Skin color, language, education, light skin, dark skin, Muslim, Christian, curly hair, straight hair, Spanish, English. And the white power structure laughing at all of us. Because everybody needs to understand this, and this is my second point of Pan-Africanism. And Brother Garfield, keep me posted on the time. I'm gonna keep going to, give me like a 10-minute, because I'll catch the African Holy Ghost real quick. The second point, and you better get this, because people always ask the question, why are we worried about Africa? We got problems in New York City. While I'm worried about Africa, I got problems in the Dominican Republic. What am I worried about Africa for? I got problems in Venezuela. The black community in Colombia got problems. Panama blacks got big problems. We got Africans in Mexico, big problems. Why am I worrying about Africa for? 20,000 miles away. What good is that for me? You know why? Because as Africa goes, so goes all African people. I've been all over the world, brothers and sisters. And guess what I've learned? Wherever I go, European Jews are respected. Wherever I go, European Jews got power. You know why? Because Israel is respected, and Israel got power. Wherever I go, Chinese are respected. Chinese are in an economic power position. Chinese are always upheld and treated with respect. And where are our institutions? We keep talking about Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street, but no city in America do I find African people owning their own hospital, their own bank, their own supermarket, and their own school. Those are the four essential institutions. Independent black hospital, independent black bank. You need a hospital to save the people, a bank to invest in the people, supermarket to feed the people, and a school to teach the people. Why we ain't got that? There's a Chinatown in damn near every major city. You got little Vietnam, little Cambodia, little Italy. Where's little Africa? You know why we ain't got it? Because something slavery did to the black man and woman. I don't care if your ancestors was enslaved in Cuba. I don't care if your ancestors was enslaved in Brazil, enslaved in North Philadelphia. Slavery stole from African people the desire. And I want you young people to hear me, because you are the generation that is supposed to fix this. Slavery stole from African people the natural, God-given desire to control your own destiny. Do you realize we're the only people not concerned about controlling our own community? We're the only people not concerned about controlling our own destiny. As soon as the Chinese show up on the shores of America, soon as an Arab shows up on the shores of America, soon as an East Indian shows up on the shores of America, they build in their own communities. They're looking for a piece of a city to call their own shops, their own businesses, their own import, export, and all we want to do is look good. Half y'all in here, soon as you get your student loan check, you in New York City shopping because you want to look good. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't care if you're from Belize or the Bronx. You want to look good. Looking good is more important than having power. African people, we in pursuit of money. White people in pursuit of power. Father Rothschild said, what? Give me control over people's money. I care not who makes the laws. Give me control over people's money. I care not who makes the laws. We chasing money. Money don't make a difference. Look at all the black entertainers we got. Look at all the athletes and entertainers we got. All that money, and don't use none of it for the benefit of African people. They might give out some turkeys for Thanksgiving. Who the hell need another turkey? You worth $500 million, and the best you can do for the black community is some stale-ass turkeys, some sneakers, another playground dedication. That ain't what we need. We need institutions and industries, brothers and sisters. So number two, as Africa goes, so goes all African people. You will never be respected. I don't care where you move to in this world until Africa is respected. That's why Africa matters. You want to know why black folks get killed by the police in broad daylight and nothing happens? Who gonna speak up for you? What African country gonna stand up and say the next time you kill one of mine in your country, don't come over here looking for no gas. Next time you kill one of mine in your country, don't come over here looking for no oil. Next time you kill one of mine in your country, don't come over here looking for no diamonds or no coltan. Next time you kill one of mine in your country, you ain't getting another piece of mineral from under my soil. Because remember, the African continent is the only continent that can survive without any other continent. No other continent can survive without Africa. There is no military without Africa. There's no atomic bombs without Africa. There's no cell phone or no internet without Africa. The most essential minerals necessary for the military and technological age are under the ground in Africa. Everybody talking about Haiti and why America keep on destabilizing Haiti. You know why America keep on destabilizing Haiti? Because they have a mineral. And I'm forgetting the name of the mineral. There's only two countries in the world that has the mineral. Haiti is one of them, and Haiti has the most of it. They have the purest form of this mineral. And this is a mineral, a metal that can withstand heat 1,000 times longer than any other metal in the world. And the reason America needs to keep Haiti destabilized is to make sure no other country can come in, strike a deal with Haiti, and get some of that metal, which would make them a military giant overnight. Every last one of you should be reading a newspaper a day. You should be reading a global newspaper a month. Understand your world so you can decide on how you're going to set your place in it. It's not just about graduating from college and getting a job. That's not why you just here for that. Your ancestors didn't send you here to get a job. You were sent to earth to make a difference. How are you going to do that? As Africa goes, so goes the world. Until we make Africa strong enough to look out for us, police gonna keep on killing black folks. That hurricane that hit Puerto Rico that the United States of America took so long to respond to, they would have never took that long to respond to that hurricane or the Haitian earthquake if they were being pressured by African countries. But then you get Negroes who say, Africa don't do nothing for me. Well, she can't. Because you have to make us strong enough to look out for you. We got the money, Africa got the resources, we got to marry them together. We got the income, Africa got the resources, we got to marry them together. But the problem with too many of us, all we want to do is become a better version of a white man. Imitation is your priority. You want to imitate people. And no disrespect to the white women in the room. I don't have a problem with no white women. I respect all women no matter what the color. But you young black men in here, don't call yourself a Pan-Africanist and you're not dating an African woman. You are a sell out. I'm a Pan-Africanist. No, you're not. You're a con. You think it's a coincidence that black men date outside the race more than all other men put together? You think it's a coincidence? Young men in college date outside the race. Black men in college and in the world date outside the race more than any other man. That's because of slavery and self-hatred. That's because of slavery and self-hatred. Marriage is a business, y'all. Marriage is a business.
Let me tell you one thing. Education for black people is really, really important. Education for black folks is really, really important. Why am I saying that? I'm saying this because it is through education. It's where we can know our problems. It is through education where we can eradicate the poverty. It is through education where we can know to differentiate people who are playing our minds. It is through education where we can choose the leaders that have the right vision of Africa. Let the population of Africa, let them be educated, because they're the leaders of tomorrow. It is so sad that we are still not getting this done, because the leaders that we chose, children are suffering from school fees. They can't go to school because they need to pay the school fees. Looking at it back, in the next coming 10 years, these are the people that we want to put in the leadership. If you tell me where will Africa go with this type of system, that's why we need to start changing with the leaders that we have. Because the power of any society that can transform it is education. The know-how. We need to have technocrats in our country to make some decisions. Look at our leaders. We are trying to do brain drain. People who are well enough to do something in our country are being taken outside our country because they can do it. And the people who can't are the ones who are left in the country. And then the Western power are asking them to give them citizenship. Now let me tell you a game that they play with black Americans. In sports, they are called the citizens of America. In sports, when they're performing well, just go and look at any commentary sports. If a black person ran and they became the first person, they'll call, hey, Charlotte from United States. But in the ground, they usually tell them, go back to Africa. This is not your place. So it's a sad thing. It's something that you need to know. And that's also what works with the brain drain. If you make a mistake, they'll tell you, go back to Africa. Yeah. One thing that I noticed about Dr. Umar Johnson, he has criticized the mainstream education system that teaches the black community, And in regards to this, I find that they share kind of some similarities with Mr. Louis Farrakhan, because they advocated for black people to understand the education system that they are having. If an education that you're having can't teach you about the problems that you have, if the education that you're having can't teach you about the struggles that you have, if the education that you have can't teach you who you are, your identity, where you come from, who are your ancestors, they just want to teach you how do we call this person who did World War I, World War II? This crazy person, Yes, those are the things that history want to teach you, but they don't want to teach you about you. Well, what's your lineage? Who is your ancestors? What are the capabilities that you have? And for the longest time, mainstream education, this is what mainstream education has been doing to the black community. And I find Dr. Umar Johnson trying to condemn this. And he also talked about this in this video. We can do better. We black folks, we have always done better. It is that the things that are happening in front of us are always superficial. So we always come and tend to think that, we can't do some things. Some things are left for other people because we are black. Like for instance, I'm sorry to say this, but I won't call the name of the uncle. I had my uncle. He usually says that, hey, a white man is a clever man. He came with an aeroplane. He built an aeroplane. He came with a He came with a motorbike. He came with a motorcycle. He came with. I was like, okay. By then I was still a kid, so I was like, yeah, they are brave people, But later on, I came to learn that these things, black person had already known this past long time ago. So the mainstream education and what has taught people in the past has made us feel like it is the other people who has done much to the society as compared to the black people, failing to look at this the development that black people have done in general, failing to look at the capabilities that we have, failing to look at the things that we have done. If a young guy just here in Kenya can come up with mobile banking, which can be used across all the world, from Kenya, the discoveries that we have, So crazy that we undermine ourselves. We look at us at a superficial layers. Dr. Umar Johnson is showing us the truth. And see, I'm talking to the man who is looking at me, and I'm asking him to change his ways. If you're a parent, teach your child about their history. Teach your child who they are. Teach your child to know some history about Africa, because that's their place. There's nothing as sad as a person who doesn't know their place. And I'm sorry to say this. Some people, especially youths, just wake up. I want to go and play some basketball. I want to go and hear some hip hop music. I want to chill my bodies. Dude, go and look at what's happening politically. Know what's happening in Africa. Read some magazine. Get to know what's happening. That's what Umar Johnson is saying. Let's stop doing things in normal way, because that's why it is our weakness. You know, it is always the happiness of the enemy seeing a house when it's divided. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that it finds you well. And as I said, if I had an opportunity of calling everybody from my village just to see this video, I will call them to see this video, because it really serves. It is really fresh, and it hits the bull's eye. Yes, it hits the bull's eye direct. And I felt every point, every word that Dr. Umar Johnson just said. Tell me what you think about this in the comment section. I hope to see you in my next episode. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. And peace be with you. Salute.